1,247 Texans died in speed-related crashes just last year. Now law enforcement here in East Texas and across the state is trying to fight back by watching the roads you drive every day. Our Zori Jones has more on Operation Slowdown.
If you've driven through East Texas cities lately, you may have noticed more parole cars on the roads you use every day. That's not an accident.
It's one of the top factors in fatal crashes throughout the state and in our district, which is 8 counties in East Texas. So it's important to watch your speed and be safe.
Jeff Williford with TxDOT says speeding played a role in more than 150,000 crashes across Texas last year, leaving 1,247 people dead. To bring that number down, TxDOT launched Operation Slowdown, running July 18th through August 2nd. At least 5 law enforcement agencies across East Texas are taking part. In Tyler, Andy Erball with Tyler Police Department says they already know exactly where to look.
We use a lot of data-driven technology to tell us where a lot of these crashes happen, whether it be Trooping Highway in the Loop or Broadway in the Loop or Old Jacksonville and Grande or the Loop in 31 East.
Smith County will focus heavily on Interstate 20 and Toll 49, roads thousands of East Texans travel every single day. But Williford says the goal isn't to write tickets. There's a reason this campaign is happening right now.
It's really important to do this campaign now when people think they may have more time to get out and about on our roads, but it's important to never forget to keep each other safe.
The message from TxDOT and law enforcement is simple. Slow down before someone doesn't make it home. Zori Jones, KLTV 7 News.